A strike package is approaching the coast. 4 FA-18 Super Hornets, flying low over the water, maintaining radio silence. The objective is 50 miles inland, a hardened command facility protected by one of the most sophisticated integrated air defense systems in the world. Radar arrays are scanning the airspace in overlapping coverage zones. Long-range surveillance radars tracking hundreds of miles out. Engagement radars ready to guide surface-to-air missiles the moment a threat is identified. Operators in hardened bunkers monitoring displays, confident that nothing gets through their network without being detected, tracked, and engaged. But before the strike aircraft reach the coast, before the first bomb falls, before the air defense network even realizes the attack has started, something else has already been launched. It's not flying toward the target. It's flying toward the radars themselves. It's faster than the fighters. It's designed to arrive first. And the moment it detects radar emissions, it locks on and begins its terminal run. By the time the air defense operators understand what's happening, the radar they were depending on to protect them is already burning. This is the AGM-88G AARGM-ER, Advanced Anti-Radiation Guided Missile, Extended Range. And it's designed to do one thing exceptionally well: kill radars before they can kill anything else. The Navy just made it faster, longer ranged, and significantly harder to counter. And that changes the calculus of every air defense network facing U.S. air power. The AGM-88G AARGM-ER is the latest evolution of a weapon concept that has been central to U.S. air operations for decades. The original AGM-88 HARM, or High-Speed Anti-Radiation Missile, entered service in the 1980s as a weapon specifically designed to target radar systems. The concept was straightforward. Enemy air defenses rely on radar to detect, track, and engage aircraft. If you can destroy the radar, you blind the air defense system. A blinded air defense system can't effectively engage anything. The HARM gave U.S. aircraft the ability to attack radar sites from standoff distances, forcing enemy operators to choose between turning on their radars and being destroyed, or turning them off and operating blind. The AARGM, introduced in the 2010s, was an improved version. It added GPS-guided capability, a millimeter-wave terminal seeker, and enhanced anti-jamming features. This meant the missile could still hit the target even if the radar shut down after launch, a common tactic air defense operators use to try to break the missile's lock. The AARGM could remember where the radar was, fly to that location using GPS, and use its terminal seeker to find and destroy the radar site even if the radar itself was no longer emitting. The AARGM-ER takes that capability and extends it significantly. The ER stands for extended range, and the improvement is substantial. Northrop Grumman, the missile's manufacturer, redesigned the propulsion system to give the weapon considerably greater reach than previous variants. Exact figures are not publicly disclosed for operational security reasons, but the extended range allows aircraft to launch from farther away, reducing their exposure to defensive systems, and it allows the missile to engage targets deeper inside defended airspace without requiring the launch platform to penetrate as far. This is not an incremental upgrade. This is a weapon optimized for high-end contested environments where adversaries operate modern integrated air defense networks with overlapping coverage, advanced electronic warfare capabilities, and sophisticated tactics designed specifically to counter Western air power. The AARGM-ER is built to operate in that environment and win. Extended range changes the dynamics of air defense suppression in ways that aren't immediately obvious but are strategically profound. Modern air defense systems are designed around layers. Long-range systems provide coverage at distance. Medium-range systems fill gaps. Short-range systems protect high-value targets and critical nodes. Each layer is supported by radar, and each radar has an effective range within which it can detect, track, and engage aircraft. For an attacking aircraft, getting close enough to strike a target means entering the engagement envelope of one or more of those defensive layers. The deeper you penetrate, the more threats you face. A missile with extended range allows the launch aircraft to stay farther from the threat. If a previous generation anti-radiation missile required the aircraft to get within 70 miles of the radar to launch, the AARGM-ER might allow a launch from 100 miles or more. That difference matters enormously. It means the aircraft avoids entering the engagement zone of certain systems entirely. It reduces the time the aircraft spends in defended airspace. It lowers the probability of being targeted, and it allows the aircraft to launch, turn away, and be out of the threat zone before the missile even reaches its target. Range also enables tactics that weren't previously possible. With greater reach, the AARGM-ER can be launched from positions that are less predictable to the defender. Aircraft don't have to follow obvious ingress routes. They can launch from oblique angles, from greater distances, or from positions that force the air defense network to defend a wider area simultaneously. This complicates defensive planning and stretches air defense resources, which are always finite across a larger battle space. The extended range also makes the missile more effective against mobile systems. Modern air defense radars are often mounted on vehicles and can relocate quickly after being detected. A shorter range missile gives the radar more time to shut down, displace, and reposition before the weapon arrives. A longer range missile launched from farther away compresses that timeline. The radar has less warning. The operators have less time to react. And even if they shut down immediately, the missile's GPS and terminal guidance can still prosecute the target at the last known location. The way the AARGM-ER hunts is built around the fundamental physics of radar and the tactical realities of air defense operations. Radar works by emitting electromagnetic energy and detecting the reflections that bounce back from objects in the environment. That emission is what makes radar detectable. An anti-radiation missile is designed to detect those emissions, determine their source, and fly directly toward it. The missile's seeker is essentially a passive receiver tuned to the frequencies used by air defense radars. When a radar turns on, the missile sees it. When the radar emits a tracking beam, the missile locks on. The radar's own signal becomes the guidance beacon that leads the weapon directly to the emitter. Air defense operators are aware of this, which is why one of the most common defensive tactics is to shut the radar off as soon as an anti-radiation missile is detected inbound. Early generation anti-radiation missiles would lose track when the radar went silent and either miss or self-destruct. The AARGM-ER doesn't have that limitation. It carries an inertial navigation system and GPS receiver, so even if the radar shuts down, the missile continues flying toward the radar's last known position. And when it gets close, it activates a millimeter wave seeker that can detect the radar antenna, vehicles, and support equipment, even if they're not emitting. The missile can identify the target visually, so to speak, and adjust its terminal trajectory to hit precisely. The missile also has home-on-jam capability. If the radar, instead of shutting down, tries to jam the missile by flooding the seeker with noise or false signals, the missile can use that jamming energy as a homing signal. The logic is elegant. If you emit, the missile tracks you. If you jam, the missile tracks the jamming. The only way to avoid being hit is to shut down completely and hope the missile's terminal seeker can't find you, which is a gamble many operators are unwilling to take. This creates a psychological and operational dilemma for air defense crews. Turning on the radar makes you a target. Keeping it off means you can't engage threats. The presence of AARGM-ER-capable aircraft forces air defense networks to operate in a degraded mode, limiting radar use, reducing engagement opportunities, and creating gaps in coverage that strike aircraft can exploit. The missile doesn't have to destroy every radar to be effective. It just has to create enough uncertainty and fear that air defense operators become reluctant to fully activate their systems. The strategic importance of the AARGM-ER becomes clear when you consider what modern air defense networks look like and what the U.S. would face in a high-end conflict. China, Russia, and other potential adversaries have invested heavily in integrated air defense systems. These are not isolated radar sites. They are networked architectures where multiple radars, missile launchers, command nodes, and electronic warfare systems operate in coordination, sharing data and providing redundant coverage. Destroying one radar doesn't collapse the network. It adapts. Other radars take over. Systems reposition. The network fights back. Suppression of enemy air defenses, the mission of destroying or degrading air defense systems to allow other aircraft to operate safely, is foundational to modern air power. You cannot conduct effective strike operations, close air support, or air superiority missions if enemy air defenses are intact and operational. Seed and dead, destruction of enemy air defenses are the first missions in any campaign because they shape the conditions for everything that follows. The AARGM-ER is designed for exactly this mission in exactly these environments. It allows U.S. Navy and Air Force aircraft to engage air defense radars from extended ranges, forcing adversary systems to operate under constant threat. It creates openings that other aircraft and weapons can exploit, and it does this while keeping friendly aircraft farther from the most dangerous threats, improving survivability and mission effectiveness simultaneously. The Indo-Pacific theater, where tensions involving China are highest, is characterized by long distances, contested airspace, and sophisticated air defense networks. China operates some of the most advanced surface-to-air missile systems in the world, deployed in depth across likely conflict zones. Any air campaign in that region would require sustained SED operations to degrade those defenses enough to allow strike packages to operate. The AARGM-ER gives U.S. forces a credible tool for that mission, and its extended range makes it viable in an environment where shorter-range weapons would require unacceptable risk to launch platforms. The AARGM-ER is part of a broader shift in U.S. military strategy toward standoff weapons, platforms, and munitions that can engage threats from distances that reduce exposure to defensive systems. Stealth is valuable, but it's not absolute. Even stealth aircraft have radar cross-sections, and modern air defenses are improving their ability to detect low observable platforms. Electronic warfare can degrade, but not eliminate radar coverage. What standoff weapons do is allow aircraft to engage without entering the most lethal zones. They extend the effective reach of air power while reducing the risk to pilots and platforms. This philosophy applies across the force. Long-range anti-ship missiles, extended-range air-to-air missiles, standoff land attack weapons. All of these systems reflect the recognition that in a high-end conflict, getting close is dangerous, and the side that can engage effectively from greater distance has a significant advantage. The AARGM-ER fits directly into that framework. It's a weapon that allows aircraft to prosecute critical targets, radar systems that are the backbone of air defense networks, from distances that keep the launch platform out of the engagement envelope of many defensive systems. The missile also represents an acknowledgement that air superiority is not achieved by air-to-air combat alone. It's achieved by degrading the adversary's ability to detect, track, and engage your aircraft. Radars are the foundation of that capability. Destroy the radars, and you create gaps in coverage, blind spots, and decision-making paralysis. The air defense network starts to collapse, not because it's been physically destroyed in its entirety, but because it can no longer operate effectively under sustained pressure. The AARGM-ER is the weapon that applies that pressure. The AGM-88G AARGM-ER is not a headline weapon. It doesn't carry the largest warhead. It doesn't fly the fastest. It's not hypersonic. But it does something that is strategically more important than any of those attributes. It takes away the adversary's ability to see and respond. It forces air defense networks to choose between being effective and surviving. And it allows the rest of the strike package, the bombers, the fighters, the intelligence platforms, to operate in an environment where they're not constantly under threat from radar-guided missiles. Air power depends on clearing radar threats first. Everything else follows from that. The AARGM-ER is the tool that makes it possible. And in the next high-end conflict, the first thing that dies won't be a fighter. It'll be the radar that was supposed to protect it.